Ms. Sillo.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
We are ready.
We are in your hands.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. And good morning, Minister.
Good morning, sir.
Just to let you know that we will not necessarily be starting from the first page of your statement. I tried to locate a logical point to start from today regarding being heard to the session yesterday. And I thought it would be appropriate that perhaps we conclude on the issues that were raised so that we do not have to go back to them. In this regard, I would like to refer you then to the disbandment letter.
I forgot something I should have done. We keep time at this commission. You were late. Does one of you want to please come to the microphone and tell us why you were late? In one or two sentences, please. We don't want to waste time.
Morning, Commissioners. Morning, everybody. Commissioner Chairperson, we apologize for being late this morning. We misjudged the traffic. We left on time, but we struggled with the traffic in the main street leading to the to the commission. We apologize for that.
Thank you. And you are Mr.?
Sorry, Chair.
You are Mr.?
Sandile Tom.
Tom.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Tom. Thank you. Apology accepted.
Chair, before he leaves the microphone, perhaps he should introduce himself fully, because when Mr. Ngogaijobi did, he just said he's with his team. So perhaps if he puts on record his fuller details, it would assist. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate Silo. My name is Sandile Tom. I'm a director at Worksmen's Attorneys. With me, I have Ms. Pumelela Mniki, who's a candidate attorney in my team, and we are part of the team that represents the Minister of Police in these proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. If I may proceed, Minister, I had suggested that perhaps we start with the disbandment letter, and that is your annexure 20 in your file 2 of 5, starting at page 476. And I would like us to consider the contents of that letter with reference to what you informed the Commission yesterday as regards what informed you to take that decision. Now, if I understood your evidence correctly yesterday, you testified that prior to issuing that letter, you had had a meeting on the 1st of November at which the possibility of the disbandment of the task team was mooted, and I'll put it no higher than that. So that minute is your annexure SM1 in the same file. It's the very, very first annexure. So perhaps if you take out SM20 out of your file, so we can consider it with reference to SM1 and other documents. That might give you a better way of handling the multiplicity of documents, okay? So please take out SM20 from your file and hold it in hand. And then we go to the first annexure in the same file, SM1. So yesterday I noted in response to the questions about what you took into consideration, that you reference a meeting of the 1st of November, as I said, at which the possibility of the disestablishment of the PKTT was raised. And then you reference two other meetings, the meeting of the 21st and the 22nd of November. That's what my note records, and I trust that is correct.
That's correct.
For the record, we only have, you have only provided the minute of the 1st of November. We don't have the minutes of the other two meetings.
That's correct.
So let's then turn to the minute of the 1st of November, the SM1, and in particular page 99. If we could turn to that page. It's SM1, the first one, the first annexure in the file. We had regard to that minute yesterday. I'm at page 99. I would like you to turn to that page. Have you located it?
Yes,
Yes.
I've done so.
Now, I understood yesterday that you had these three meetings, and thereafter you had no further engagement with the management of SAPS, or in particular the National Commissioner. And then I understood for the Christmas break, over the period 29th to the 31st of December, that's when eventually you took the decision. Now, in explaining your reference to immediately yesterday, the use of the word immediately in your disbandment letter, you said that should not be construed as an instruction to disband immediately. So the immediacy attached to something else, the speed with which you took your decision, not the disestablishment that you are calling for. Did I understand you correctly?
Not exactly. Maybe it's a question of wanting to say it in my own words.
No, maybe, let me try with my own words, because my understanding becomes important to how I approach the issue. You recall your letter states, I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately. That's the phraseology used. And in your engagement with the chair yesterday, you said, immediately does not speak to the disestablishment. Do you remember the engagement with the chair
Yes.
about immediately being an adverb
Yes.
and then searching for the verb?
Yes.
Yes. So I just wanted to test that you didn't say
Yes.
it's the disestablishment itself that must be taken immediately.
Yes.
Your thinking at the time was that that would be subject to a particular process
Yes.
that would roll out over time.
Yes.
Am I correct?
You are correct.
One thing I don't think we got to yesterday was an understanding of what process did you anticipate to roll out until the point of disestablishment. So if possibly you could address yourself to that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I didn't necessarily work out a detailed process beyond saying what I indicated in the directive. Once the National Commission looking for the form of the preliminary report, which would be handed over to us and then, or to me, and then I would look at it as we move towards the UNESCO. So I didn't necessarily work out any detail at the time when I wrote the letter beyond those kinds of engagements. But I had in mind engagements going forward.
I understood. Thank you for that, Minister. Then this brings me to your annexure SM1, page 99. You have the page open.
Yes.
That page has at the top a paragraph with a bullet point. I want us to skip that, the next, and go to the third.
Yes.
It should be highlighted in yellow, I think.
I see.
Yes, and that paragraph reads, I quote, "The minister further indicated that there must be consideration and review of certain capabilities, such as the political killings task team, which are primarily about addressing serious crimes. He stated that SAPS should guard against creating structures, units based on specific category, whilst these duplicate the existing capabilities. In this regard, you gave some examples, e.g., taxi killings, political killing, all about matters, close, parenthesis, close quote. You see that?
Correct.
Now, the process, let me ask this different question. This minute of your meeting states that prior to the disestablishment of these task teams, there must be a reconsideration and review of certain capabilities of these task teams. And you make an example with the political killings task team. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct.
When was that review undertaken, as per the minute? The review of the capabilities of the political killings task team?
That was in reference to what had already happened in one part, but it also was in reference to the need for ongoing assessments just after we had, because this was almost at the end of the year, this meeting.
Yes, 1st of November.
We had, I think, internally completed the process of those reviews, but it was merely referring to that, and of course the need for ongoing, which would include current or any other current task team that would still be there, including the National Political Killings Task Team, because although we had adopted the structure and all of that, but there were the National Killings Political Task Team was still there, and therefore it was in reference to the current structural situation.
So if I understand you correctly, much as this minute suggests that certain steps must still be taken in the future, because it states there must be a review of capabilities such as the political killing stars team. I shouldn't understand that to mean the review must be undertaken. I should accept that as meaning that the review that has already been done.
Yes, and any other need for ongoing reviews, taking it into consideration that the National Political Killing Stars team was still there and there must be an ongoing review. It was all encompassing.
Would you accept that, and I hear what your explanation, but would you accept that on a simple reading of what is written, it doesn't lend one at the understanding that you are suggesting now? So we're not talking about reviews previously done. We're talking about reviews which must be done on the wording as it stands now. And I do take your explanation, but would you fault me for understanding what's written here in your minute as referencing a point in time in the future?
Yes, I would say not necessarily just exclusively in future, but because in the context of discussions at that time in the meeting, this would have meant that we are on an ongoing assessments of our structural review. We had not necessarily covered all the ground in the structural setup of SAPS. And therefore, broadly speaking, we were still in the process, but the structure had been basically adopted internally. But that didn't mean that that is the end of the need to assess, to review, because there were task teams that were still there that could be reviewed. So it was work in progress, in other words.
Yes. The other...
Mr. Before
Yes.
you go to the other, Minister, good morning. I'm not sure I understand your explanation, but let's look at this. It might help me. At this point, given your construction now, this explanation you are giving, that there had been reconsideration and review previously, and it must therefore carry on. That's what you were saying. At which point was there, before this meeting, at which point was there reconsideration and a review of the capabilities of the PKTT? If you say this was a reference to historical and into the future, at which point in the past had there been a reconsideration and a review of the capabilities of the PKTT?
This was not necessarily exclusively referring to PKTT, because capability within SAPS wouldn't be confined to one team. We were talking in the context, one, of cabinet priorities for the 7th administration, which among the three is developing and consolidating state capacity. So and then we talk about, then we had just completed the structure ourselves with that in mind. And it was then referring to what we had considered in that context of building capacity of the state as we reviewed the whole structure. But it was also referring to the assessments that had taken place, because in essence, the 2024 assessment in the form of the Marai report and other reports before,
Yes.
They were assessing capacity of the state with regard to SAPS to fight crime successfully.
Yes. Minister, you are very specific in this paragraph, in your suggestion. In this paragraph, you say, you specify, it's clear that you're referring to other, you are including other task teams, but you specify the political killings task team, you say such as.
Yes.
And from that, I do understand that there are, you're contemplating task teams in general, but you specify PKTT. My question is limited to that which you specify. And it is simply this. At which point in the past before this meeting had there been a reconsideration and a review of the capabilities of the PKTT? My question is specific. PKTT, at which point had there been a reconsideration and review of their capabilities?
No, there had not been
Yes.
any specified assessment of PKTT as part of a capacity. Instead, capacity that was reviewed, that was assessed, would be murder and robbery, would be all of that. And it was always juxtaposed with the political killings task team, that you have developed a capacity or a capability in the form of specialized units. And then you have the political killings task team.
Okay.
And then you avoid that duplication.
All right. Can I then go on to my conclusion, therefore? With that explanation, that admission that there had not been a review of the PKTT in particular, here you could only have been speaking about a future review, therefore. If it must follow. If there had not been a past review of the capabilities of the PKTT, which you accept, which you say now, this sentence here that Ms. Silo was taking you through must be a reference to a future review of the PK, because it has not happened before. There can only be from the 1st of November, there must be a review.
Well, in the context of reviewing capacity of SAPS to fight crime.
No, Minister, sorry, I don't mean to be rude, I have to stop you. My question is specific. You have said now, in the last sentence, you have said there hadn't been a review as at the 1st of November. There hadn't been a review of the PKTT's capabilities and a reconsideration. You've just said that, and what I'm putting to you is, therefore, it must follow that in that proposal that you make, or in that statement that you make in that first line, you are speaking about the future. From the 1st of November, there must be a review. It has to be, Minister.
I agree with you.
Thank you. Ms. Silo, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Based on that concession, Minister, therefore, the same answer must extend to the requirement for a reconsideration. That too would be in the future. I'm still at page 99, still on the first line. There are two things that should be done, a reconsideration and a review. I'm simply asking, based on your response to Commissioner Baloi's question, must I accept that a reconsideration itself of specifically the capabilities of the political killings task team, firstly, had not been undertaken, and therefore you, because this minute reflects you as the speaker, you were suggesting that it be undertaken, there be a reconsideration. Once again, that is in the future. I'm correct to understand it that way?
You are correct.
Okay.
I must just add one thing, that it says such as.
Indeed.
Not necessarily one, yes.
Point fairly made, I take it.
Yes.
Yes, it says such as the political killings
Yes.
task team. And on that score, we had only one political killings task team. When we reference political killings task team, because even the way it's written, it's a name, it's only one task team that comes to mind. You did not infer at the time every political killings task team. You were actually using that particular task team as the example. Am I correct?
Correct.
Thank you. So, this is the 1st of November. Did that reconsideration then take, remember we're talking about the review, now I'm on the point of reconsideration. did that reconsideration take place between the 1st of November and the 31st of December? The 1st of November being the date of that minute, the 31st of December being the date of your letter. Did such a reconsideration take place? And if so, what were the outcomes thereof?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, it didn't?
Not that I'm
Okay.
aware of.
So, staying with that paragraph, perhaps before we go there, in your statement at page 56, if I may call that file up, the minister's statement. And I would like to refer you to paragraph 56 of your statement, page 56. Time to have. In page 56, Minister, apologies for the confusion. And at page 56, under the heading Reasons for the December 31st, 2024 Directive. So we've established that the reconsideration and review of capabilities of the political task team did not inform your decision of the 31st of December, and we know because it hadn't taken place. So we go to your statement at page 56 to locate the reasons as you put them forth. And on my reading of your statement, you advance 5 different reasons. They span page 56 to page 58. And I would like to invite us to perhaps consider each reason in turn to assist the Commission in having a better understanding of why the political killings task team was disestablished, or you, Minister, instructed that it be disestablished on that particular day. Your first is an invocation of a 2019 work study. And I'm going to read the second sentence of that paragraph. You state, the continuation of a temporary task team outside of SAP's organizational structure had become untenable both administratively and constitutionally. Full stop. You see where I am?
Yes, I see.
Before we deal with that work study,
Sorry, Mr. Law, where are you reading?
paragraph 167, the
Oh,
second part of
167.
167,
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Before we deal with the work study itself, once again, I think I would benefit from your guidance. You say the continuation of a temporary task team outside of SAP's organizational structure. What does that phrase mean? What do you mean by the phrase outside of SAP's organizational structure?
It means what is understood inside SAPs or internal in SAPs, what is attached as a meaning of a team. It is, task teams are always located outside the organogram per se, the adopted organogram. And that has been the case since 2019, if not even before. That if you establish a task team, you establish it not necessarily inside the organogram, because it is for a particular purpose at that time as it arises. And it ends as the need for that becomes obvious.
Okay. And you said that continuation has become untenable both administratively and constitutionally. We'll come back to the administratively. Could you explain what you mean by the conclusion that the continuation has become untenable constitutionally? How do you invite the commissioners to understand that phrase? Are you invoking any provision of the Constitution, or
No,
I'm trying to understand?
No, it was just in broad reference to our constitutional mandate that SAPs must, as a mandate, their mandate is to prevent, it is to investigate, it is to combat. So
Trying to test my understanding, or maybe trying to test my understanding, or maybe before I do, I might benefit from a further explanation by you. So we have addressed the notion of the continuation being constitutionally untenable. I hear your answer. But then you say both administratively and constitutionally. What in this context would administratively refer to? What would be administratively untenable?
It was making reference to capacity of subs at any level, in this instance, national level, in the first place, to manage a proliferation of task teams, because the more you have them, the more it becomes untenable or difficult to manage and control on the side of the National Commissioner.
So at this juncture, did you envisage a situation, or I'll put it differently, were you arguing for the complete disestablishment or abolishment of the notion of task teams within SAPS? Can I interpret it that way, or have I gone too far?
You are correct that by end of the year, I had gone deeper in terms of assessing the effectiveness, but from the perspective of sustainability. When you have internal units and you sharpen them, you strengthen them, as opposed to task teams, but not necessarily that you would completely abolish the need, because they are dictated to by the situation on the ground.
Yes.
Task teams.
I was going to move to another aspect of that paragraph, but
Before you do that, so that I understand the minister's position, Minister, are you saying in that sentence, are you saying the existence of a temporary task team is not constitutionally permissible? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily. As I say, I'm saying I was referring to Constitution. I was referring to the Constitution in broad terms in relation to what I understand to be the mandate of SAPS, that they are less likely with dependence on task teams than when they depend on units that they cultivate, that they develop and hone over a period. That's what it was referring to, but not to say there is anything unconstitutional about task teams, because that you can't do away with, because it just is dictated to by the need on the ground all the time. But just establish, assess, and then time frame all the time.
Yes. So you did not make the decision that to disband the PKTT on the basis that it is constitutionally untenable to have that task team, the PKTT. That's not one of your reasons for disbanding it.
Definitely, it is not one of the reasons.
Okay, so if we read this paragraph, if I read this sentence to be one of your reasons for disbanding the PKTT, then I am wrong. I misunderstood what this sentence means. Is that what you're saying?
My understanding of that sentence is that it generally sends a message to SAPS to discourage teams, task teams, keeping of task teams, because it makes it less possible for SAPS to reach out or to get their mandates fulfilled. Not to say it's unconstitutional, teams are unconstitutional and so on, but if subs more and more depends on task teams which are temporal, firstly, you have a problem of administering them, carrying them on your shoulders, and then it makes you less likely to fulfill your mandate.
Yes. The problem with your explanation, Minister, in that paragraph is you're specific. You're speaking about the NPKTT. You speak about the NPKTT, and then you say the continuation of a temporary structure. So in the first sentence, you say, first, SAPS has made clear throughout 24 that NPKTT was an interim structure whose mandate fell squarely within the permanent remit of the murder and robbery unit created by the 2019 work study. So we know from this first part that the second part of that paragraph, where you say the continuation of a temporary task team, you are referring to the NPKTT.
Yes.
So my question remains, am I incorrectly understanding what you say in this last part of the paragraph? Do I misunderstand when I read it, which I did, to mean this is one of your reasons that the NPKTT that you give for disbanding the PKTT, it is that it is constitutionally untenable to have the PKTT, which you describe as outside of the structure, the organizational structure, that to have it continue to exist, this temporary team, the PKTT, is constitutionally untenable.
In the context of its impact to SAPS to reach out their mandates.
Okay. With that answer, then it must mean even the taxi violence task team is constitutionally untenable to continue to have it, given your reasoning about the PKTT.
That is why the taxi task team was put under specialized units inside SAPS organogram.
Okay, but you didn't dissolve it. You didn't disband it.
No, what happened with it? It was put under murder and robbery, which is under serious and violent crimes, to permanently reside within the structure, which makes it better for SAPS to fulfill their mandates.
Yes.
So, which is different from a standalone structure like PKTT.
Well, can I maybe make my point this way? The PKTT, as at the 31st of December, was not the only task team of the SAPS. You express in paragraph 167 that it's constitutionally untenable to have a task team exist outside of the organizational structure. That's what you say. The principle is it's constitutionally untenable to have task teams outside of the structure. Maybe you're correct, maybe you're not. But the question is, you dissolve only one task team when you have that concern about the constitutionality of task team. It is only one task team that you dissolve. You're happy to live with the unconstitutional existence, if ever there's such a concept. You are happy to countenance the continued constitutionality problem you have about the existence of other task teams, but just not the PKTT. Please explain in a way that makes that your decision to make sense.
Now, historically, the National Political Killings Task Team is the only team that had been associated with being inside or outside the structure all the time from 2019. And as indicated before, it was always expressly indicated by SAPS that it would need to be integrated, it would need to be absorbed. And therefore, that's why it sort of features higher than any other team in the conversation. Hence, even here in these paragraphs, it seems to be the only, but the principle is not necessarily confined to it alone. It applies across, but the specific reference is this one because in the conversation that had developed over time, that was the one that was in reference almost all the time from 2019.
Sorry.
More than any other.
This is my last engagement, I think, for now on this. Have you just said that the PKTT is the only task team that the SAPs have considered to be outside of the structure, of the organizational structure?
No, I'm saying the PKTT is the only task team that had consistently featured in the conversation parallel to structures, simply because of one reason. Its tasks were identified by SAPs as requiring absorption to a specialized unit inside. And it's almost because the other teams that were originally identified, they were identified as a problem, as a burden, as being untenable. That's why they were then dissolved, if I could talk that language, and integrated into like murder and robbery, and under under murder and robbery and under serious and violent crimes. They were doing integration so that these task team could be managed better in a sustainable way, so that you could be certain about the instruments you are using to fight crime.
Okay. Can I just try one last time so that I understand what your answer is to my question?
Yes.
Are you saying to us the PKTT, and it's a yes or no answer, I either misunderstand or understood you correctly. I'm going to reframe my question. Are you saying the PKTT is the only task team that the SAPs that you are referring to considered to be outside of the organizational structure? It's either yes, that's what you're saying, or no, that's not what you're saying.
For my clarity, I hear you very well, but if you could be kind to me to repeat your question.
Okay, that's all right. You spoke in a way that made me understand you to be saying, according to the SAPS discussions,
Yes.
the PKTT was the only task team that was considered to be outside of the organizational structure. You spoke in a way that I understood you to be saying that. So what I'm asking is that what you were saying, that understanding of mine that I've just projected back to you?
Yes.
And that's why I say
understand.
it's a yes or no answer. Either I understood you correctly to be saying only the PKTT was considered to be outside of the structure, or no, I misheard or misunderstood you.
You misunderstood me.
Yes.
And the reason for that is that National Political Killings Task Team is the only structure, or the only not structure team that was targeted, if I could use that language,
I see.
for, over a long time for integration. It's as if even the specialized units were established such that you would absorb, because
Okay. Can
yes.
I stop you there, Minister?
Okay, thank you.
What I wanted to establish with you a few questions back
Okay.
was you have other task teams in the
Yes.
SAPs.
Yes.
Can we agree, if you are correct in this sentence where you say the continuation of a temporary task team outside of the organizational structure is untenable both administratively and constitutionally? If you are correct with that statement, it holds for all task teams.
Yes,
It must be.
That's correct.
Okay, that's all I wanted to establish. So it's not just unique to the PKTT.
Yes,
it
that's
also
correct.
applies to the mining task team, to any other task team that the SAPS has.
That is correct, with a proviso that you wouldn't, when there's a need to establish a task team, you would flinch from doing so. You would establish and then disestablish.
Okay,
But yeah,
thank you. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. If I may just follow up on that based on your response. Because at some point I thought I understood, but now I'm not so sure of myself. If the statement is the continuation of a temporary task team outside of SAP's organizational structure had become untenable both administratively and constitutionally, that would mean reference to the existing task teams. Their continuation existence has become untenable administratively and constitutionally. Am I correct thus far?
broadly speaking, yes.
So you say, of course, you do attach a caveat there that it does not preclude the establishment in the future of task teams as and when needed in response to specific challenges.
Yes.
So those that would be established in the future would not have the difficulty of being administratively and constitutionally untenable because they are outside the substructure. I'm trying to understand. Granted, we are talking about existing ones. If their existence and operation outside SAP's organizational structure is what renders them constitutionally and administratively untenable, that surely must be a challenge that would afflict any other future task team because they would forever remain outside SAP's organizational structures. Why would it be fine for the future task teams and not for the existing?
I did indicate at the beginning that, or at some point, that generally when you look at mandates of SAPs and so on, you realize that it's important that whatever gets done in a sustainable way, cost-effective way, and so on, and with necessary intended impact. Therefore, generally discouraging, that statement is meant to generally discourage, in other words, to caution all of us that we're not going to make SAPs an organization of temporal task teams in general. But it doesn't mean that even when it is necessary to establish a task team, you would not establish one, but consider that it is cumbersome.
Yes.
Consider that it diminishes your chances to obtain or to reach out for your mandates.
Thank you for that, Minister. And another thing, once again in response to Commissioner Baloyi, with reference in particular to the PKTT, I understood you to say, and my understanding might be incorrect, and please correct me, that the PKTT, the first time around you said, was always identified for absorption. The second time you referenced this issue, you said, was targeted for integration. Did I hear you? Did I understand you correctly?
Correct.
Does your letter of the 31st of December achieve any of those objectives, whether it's absorption or integration?
It was meant to.
In retrospect, do you think it does?
It does.
How?
In the sense that even if you used disbandment, but in practice you wanted integration, if the directive was not to say dismiss all those individual members, it was to say start processes, or let's engage in processes in line with what has always been intended with regard to the National Political Killing Task Team.
As I understand things, You did indicate that task teams are created for a specific challenge
Yes.
to address specific issues.
Yes.
And normally it's for, I won't say specific time because it's very difficult to
Yes.
determine time, but it's for a limited period, it's for a period.
Yes.
So, if my understanding is correct, then the disestablishment of a task team that has delivered on its mandate can never have the effect of dismissing police officers, can it? Because it's established from within the ranks of the police members. So its disestablishment will not result in any police officer losing their job.
Definitely.
So
Correct.
similarly here, the disestablishment contemplated would not result in the PKTT members losing their jobs.
Correct.
So I'm struggling with the notion of disestablish. So, put it differently. So we first break it apart, it being the team, to absorb the team into the substructures. Am I understanding it correctly?
You're understanding it correctly.
Okay.
Councillor, are you moving from this paragraph?
I'm still on the paragraph.
Okay.
Now that I have a better understanding of what perhaps informed your decision, I read that paragraph. I'm still at 167. I read that paragraph. Okay, let me do it differently. You invoke, as I understand that paragraph, the 2019 work study to draw the conclusion that you do in the second part of that paragraph. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Let's find that work study on my reading of your statement that you should be your annexure SM3, and SM3 should start at page 115, same file. And in annexure SM3, this document is titled Establishment of Specialized Capacities, Anti-Gang Units, Murder and Robbery Units, as well as Taxi Violence and Cold Case Investigation Functions within the South African Police Service. Rather a mouthful, but I had to say it all for purposes of the record. That is the document, correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. Same page 117 under item 2, the heading is purpose. I read the following. The purpose of this investigation is to determine the feasibility of establishing specialized capacities, as well as to give clarity on the structural placement and functional, as well as enabling post-structure requirements within the detective service. Would the establishment be feasible? Okay, there might be challenges there in the construction of the sentence, but the purpose is clearly stated there, and we can fill in the gaps where we think some words are missing to try and understand and have a full appreciation of the purpose. So, the purpose of this investigation, of which this report is a result, was to determine the feasibility of establishing specialized capacities within detective service, in summary.
Yes.
Is that yours?
Yes.
Do you know what was the outcome of this study? That on that particular aspect, the feasibility of establishing specialized capacities within the detective service?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, it's just that I don't see the date, but it sounds like the 2018 establishment. It talks about, it should be 2018 work study.
Apologies, Minister, I lost you.
I'm saying I don't see the date.
Oh, the date of this, if you go to page 155 of that SM3,
Yes.
It bears the signature of it's Sectional Commander Operational Organizational Design Detection, Colonel A.K. Murray. It's got a date of 2019-06-19.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I take that person to be the author.
Correct.
Yes. 2019, yes.
Yes. So what was the question is,
No, the question is
what was the outcome?
the outcome of the, yes.
The outcome of this work study at that time was that it was indeed undertaken, that study. And it's 2018. And it was then signed or accepted and adopted in 2019 by the then commissioner, Commissioner Sithole. And he signed it off into implementation. That's why in September that year, 2019, a letter of implementation was then accepted after the work study had been taken and discussed and adopted. So this study was undertaken.
Okay. You referenced the implementation letter, and throughout your statement, you suggest that they be read together. That implementation letter is what you attach as SM4 at page 179. Is that correct?
To SM4, yes. Yes.
Is that the implementation letter you just referenced?
That would be the one.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll keep our finger there, we'll come back. But getting back to SM3, the
Okay.
report.
Yes.
I would like to refer you to page 159.
159.
159. Oh, sorry, 154.
Oh,
My apologies.
okay. I have,
159 is actually the other annexure.
It's
I
empty,
do
yes.
apologize for the confusion. 154.
I have it.
Oh, thank you. At 154 is under heading recommendations, is a list of recommendations by Colonel Murray arising from the investigation he conducted. Is that how I understand the document as well?
Yes.
We don't have to read in detail all the recommendations. There are 8 of them listed. Having considered the recommendations by Colonel Murray and the content of the report, I struggle to understand how it can lend anyone to the conclusion that the continuation of temporary task team outside of SAP's organizational structure is both administratively and constitutionally untenable. I struggle, so I request you to perhaps point me to something, be it in the recommendations or the body of the report itself, regard being held to the purpose that we looked at previously, how we arrive at the conclusion you seem to have drawn as set out in paragraph 167.